Today we will be reviewing my 1/400 scale Honolulu International Airport, and joining me is Aviation18. Let's get into it. Starting off today's airport update, we have this Hawaiian Airlines Airbus A330-200. Just touched down on runway 8 right, and it's currently using full air brakes, and it just arrived in from Seattle, Washington.
Next up here we have this Alaska Boeing 737 MAX 9 in the Orca color scheme. He's holding short for departure, and once the Hawaiian aircraft on the runway has cleared the runway, he's going to be heading out to San Diego in California.
Moving on to the next aircraft, we have this Hawaiian Airlines Airbus A321neo in the new colors, of course. This is third in line for departure behind the Alaska aircraft. It'll be heading out to San Jose, California this afternoon.
Next up here we have this Delta Boeing 757-200, which is third in line for departure, and he's going to be heading out to San Francisco in California.
Just pulling off of the runway, we have this Qantas Airlines 787-9 Dreamliner. This aircraft is in the 100th year anniversary livery, and it just arrived in from Melbourne, Australia.
We then have this Japan Airlines Boeing 787-9. He's just loading on the cleaning crew, and then he's going to be departing out to Osaka in Japan in about 30 minutes.
And following that, we'll be moving on to a jumbo jet. We have this ANA Airlines Airbus A380. This aircraft is in the Flying Honu livery, and will be heading out to Tokyo, Japan today.
Next up here we have this Delta Airbus A350-900, which has just arrived in from Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson in Georgia.
Moving right along, we have this Hawaiian Airlines Airbus A330-200. This aircraft is in the old livery, as you can see, and it just arrived in from San Diego about an hour ago, and it'll be doing a turnaround flight back out to San Diego.
Next up here we have this Hawaiian Boeing 717. He's going to be departing out to Maui in about 20 minutes time.
Moving on to another Hawaiian 717. This aircraft had just arrived in from Kona, and will be heading back out there shortly.
Next up we have another Hawaiian Boeing 717. He arrived in from Lihue, and he's going to be turning around and heading back out there.
Many of you guys ask where I get all of my aircraft models from, and also how can I afford them. I get them from the Midwest Model Store. They actually have very good deals going on right now, as you can see, and a huge variety of models that you can purchase. If you use code MileHigh Aviation at the checkout, you get 10% off your order and a shout out in the next video. And following that, we'll be starting off at Terminal 2, which is currently housing this United Airlines 737-800 in the Star Alliance livery. This aircraft just arrived in from Los Angeles.
Next up here we have this Southwest Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8, which just arrived in from Oakland in California.
And moving on from that, we have another Southwest Airlines. This is a 737-800 in the Tennessee 1 paint scheme. Absolutely beautiful in one of their newest liveries. This aircraft will be departing for the flight out to Lihue, which is one of their inter-island flights.
Next here we have this Hawaiian Airbus A330-300, which is going to be heading out to Seattle once the passengers have all been loaded.
And following that, we have this Japan Airlines 767-300. This aircraft is in the special livery, which I'll put on the screen now. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it because I'll completely butcher it. This aircraft will be pushing back and heading out to Osaka, Japan.
After that, here we have this American Airbus A321 in the stand-up to cancer livery. He's going to be pushing back for a flight out to Los Angeles in California.
Following that, we have this Alaska Airlines 737-900. This aircraft is in the One World livery, and it just pulled into the gate as it just arrived in from Seattle, Washington.
We then have this Hawaiian Airbus A321neo, which just arrived in from San Diego about 15 minutes ago. He's going to be turning around and then heading back out to San Diego.
Before I move on to Terminal 3, I did want to give the shoutouts that are well deserved. In my last airport update, which was of Denver, you can check it out by hitting the top right hand corner of the screen. I did leave a card with a comment that said comment flying pencil if you see this. Basically comment that and I would give a shout out to you. So here are today's video shout outs. And once again, there will be something like that hidden in this video. And if you find it, I will give you a shout out in the next video. Next up, we'll be moving on to the Diamond Head Concourse, which is currently housing Philippine Airlines and United Airlines. Starting off the Diamond Head Concourse, we have this Philippine Airlines Airbus A330-300. This aircraft just pulled into the gate and it arrived in from Manila in the Philippines about 25 minutes ago, and it'll be heading back out there shortly.
Next up, here we have this United Airlines Boeing 787-10. He's just loading up the passengers and crew and is going to be heading out to Chicago in Illinois.
And moving on from that, we have this United Airlines 777-200 in the new livery. This aircraft is pushing back out of the gate, as you can see. It'll be pushing back and taxiing onto the taxiway. I am the one, the way your son don't need a... And heading out to Denver, Colorado, which is a route I will be flying in less than a week.
Next up here we have this United Airlines Boeing 777-300ER in the new color scheme. He just arrived in from San Francisco.
And next up, we'll be moving on to the cargo section of the airport update, which is currently only housing 2 aircrafts and 2 different airlines. Moving on to the cargo section, we have this Kalitta Air 747-400. This aircraft is in the special mask livery and is currently loading on passengers. Currently loading on cargo, and it'll be heading out to Los Angeles, California.
Then next up here we have this FedEx MD-11. He's just resting at this gate overnight and will be making an early morning departure out to Sydney in Australia. And so yeah, that does conclude this update of Honolulu International Airport. I want to thank MileHigh Aviation for having me on today. It's been a pretty interesting update. I always love Honolulu Airport updates because of course Honolulu is just an interesting airport because you've got kind of the Pacific flights from Japan and Australia along with the regular US flights that we're all used to. It's just a really unique airport, and I think that's why it's just so interesting. And yeah, do make sure you subscribe to MileHigh Aviation if you haven't already, and you can check out my channel as well if you do want to. But apart from that, from me, that's going to be it from me. So I want to thank you for watching today's update, and I'll see you later. Bye.
I would like to thank Aviation18 for joining in today's video. If you did enjoy, please consider subscribing to both me and Aviation18. Thank you.